How do you do? It would be a little unkind to present this picture without just a word of friendly warning. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
All right, now we're live. I had the camera ready, did not have the mic. There's always something wrong, isn't there? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of the Wyatt's Metal Podcast, or Wyatt Wednesday, or just another fucking day at work that you're hoping to get through, or another day of having to listen to your dumbass teacher talk about some shit you don't care about. However you choose to celebrate your Wednesdays. Yeah, what's going on? We have some things to talk about. Couple news, new tours, new shows announced, of course. Continuing with the Cradle of Filth drama a bit. We'll see. And yeah, Hell's Heroes announced their lineup. We're definitely going over that. Sonic Temple announced a few bands. It should be pretty good. Rocket is passed out asleep in the little box over in the corner there. so he probably will not be making an appearance. Let me say hi to everybody in the chat. Thank you all for tuning in. Do me a big favor and like the stream. Share it around if you can. I would appreciate it so we can keep talking shit about metal people. Anakin's anger management therapist, first comment said, hey, Wyatt, thanks for getting me into Powerwolf. They're great. Hell yeah, nice. They're like if Sabaton was made by Tim Burton and was on Team Jacob for watching too much Twilight. You had to ruin it right there at the end, didn't you? You had it going great until you brought in Twilight. No, yeah, I like Powerwolf a lot. I'm excited to see them blowing up. I like calling them Notre Dame metal because I think it's funny. We got Max Power says, enjoyed the comment or enjoyed the guy in your comments who said you were, quote, emo core, whatever the fuck that means exactly, and accused you of being a huge As They Lay Dying fan. Hard to argue with the willfully ignorant. Yeah, that dude that you're talking about is such a fucking retard because he claims that I'm a poser and never talk about real metal and just gay emo bands. And that's all that I like, and I don't know shit about metal. And he only ever comments on the videos where I'm talking about those bands. Majority of the time, I'm making fun of them, insulting them, or talking about their like crimes. Not usually being like, I love this band. But he only comments those on the videos where I talk about this bands. He was nowhere on the Iceland video, nowhere on my other video on Slovenia, Terminator, fucking any videos where I'm talking about legitimate bands that I actually like. That guy's nowhere to be found. But then if it's a, hey, let's laugh at As Lay Dying again, he's guaranteed to pop up and go, this poser doesn't even talk about metal. But that is the internet, as you know. It goes along very well with those the workout comments that I posted. If you guys didn't see my short making fun of all of the fat old guys who keep commenting about my workout equipment behind me over there. I know some people don't get it when I post some of these ridiculous comments publicly for people to see. Some people think that I'm legitimately like raging at it and being like, this motherfucking piece of shit, like ruined my day or something like that. Majority of the time, it is not that. The majority of the time, it's me going, this is so absurd. Guys, look at this. This is hilarious. And it's also kind of like, this is the kind of things you deal with when you go on the internet, or if you're going to be on the internet. If you're a YouTuber, you're talking about anything, this is the kind of shit you're going to have to deal with. That's how I always approach these conversations. There have been few times where I have been caught up in some annoying asshole and engaged more than I should have. I try to catch myself with those. It does still happen from time to time. But, I mean, I know you guys probably know, a lot of when I post those things with those funny comments, most of the comments are people laughing their asses off. So, yeah. I just find it strange when a bunch of men, specifically, as I've happened to notice, will click on my videos that are talking about, you know, funniest idiots at concerts or this drama that happened with this band. And they're like, how come you have this workout equipment behind you, bro? I'm like, I'm not talking about it. I would understand if I was being on here like some meathead and acting all like, yeah, gym bro style, but it's there. I built a home gym when COVID happened because I live in California and everything was locked down. And sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. I've always been an incredibly fucking skinny person, despite trying. So even when I did like really hit it hard with working out, it was more tone, but it was still a skinny lad. It comes from my Icelandic genes. I have great genes. Sharon says, Wyatt's podcast, best part of my Wednesdays. Thank you for that. I hope I can provide some entertainment on a Wednesday. Jay Hazard says, what's up, Wyatt and Metalheads? What's up, man? Liz N, this is starting to become part of my after-school routine on Wednesdays. Nice. That's awesome. That's really cool. And then Liz also said, I ran out of shit to watch for free. Well, if you need some metal content to go over, The other day, I rewatched my video I did on best metal documentaries, just because there's a lot of quality in that video. Not really on my part, but because I'm just an idiot rambling. But someone messaged me who was one of the directors of one of those documentaries, and if you haven't, go watch my video, 20 Best Metal Documentaries. The majority of those documentaries are linked in the bio. So if you followed every single one of them, you'll get like over 20 hours of free, interesting metal content right there on the video. So go check it out if you haven't. I brought the step stool for baby Danny. Some people are like, why are you making short jokes? I'm like, come on, because what? If he was a good guy, I wouldn't be doing it, but he's not, so I am. You know? Ellie, not so smelly. I've been playing Tony Hawk games all week, as you should be. As you should be. Classics. I know I might rebuy, 3 and 4 is coming out, I think. The remakes. God, yeah, you learn so many bands from those games. Those were the days. Not a huge Powerwolf fan, but they are playing here in a few weeks. Worth going. If you like that type of style, if you like epic sounding power metal, I would say, yeah, definitely. If you like basically a Sabaton show, you'll like a Powerwolf show. It's the same thing in Halloween makeup, basically, but not in a bad way. Lilith is only here to steal a rocket, as always. Yeah. She's just being cat thief. Hey, will you be going to Rockville next year? I hadn't planned on it, but it is early to decide. You know, a lot of times people ask me if I'm going to a festival, and it's like, we'll see. If everything lines up and it works out. Being a YouTuber kind of means like 1 month I can't do anything, the next month I can go do whatever I want, and it will jump in between depending on how views go. But I'm definitely going to go to Hell's Heroes, which we're going to go over that lineup here in a minute, because Hell's Heroes is a rad festival out in Texas, and they just announced their full lineup, and I think it's pretty sweet. It's one of the better metal festivals in America. That's not big, over the top, thousands of people. Danny is def taller than Danzig. I don't know if that's true. I've stood next to both of them. I don't remember standing next to Danzig, but apparently I did. If people haven't heard that story. Me and some friends partied with Danzig and his whole band at the Rainbow one night, and I have zero recollection of that whatsoever. I had to be told about this later on. That's a very true story. It's partially why I quit drinking. I honestly don't know about that. I feel like even in his fat form now, Danzig would still lay Danny out if you threw a punch at him or something. If we're having metal celebrity deathmatch, which we should definitely start. How tall are you, Wyatt? I am 6'1", give or take. Somewhere around it, but yeah, I'm taller than both of them put together, probably. You ready for Alice Cooper and Judas Priest? Fuck yeah, I am. So, October in LA is always great. There's so many shows and events and things going on. But I think that week, my band is playing October 16th at the Whiskey A Go-Go with Carnivore AD. And then 2 days after that, we'll be playing another show in the LA area that will be announced soon. And then the day after that is Alice Cooper and Judas Priest. It's going to be fucking sweet. And speaking of my band, we have a show coming up this month. It is now September. Time flies way too fast. If you haven't yet, it's time to put up your Halloween decorations. But it's also time to get ready for some metal, because on September 20th, My band has a show coming up. It's going to be awesome. Here, watch this ad.
Everybody, this is Bleed for the Cause, Tables, Ladders, and Charity. It's a deathmatch wrestling show with metal bands playing, and all the profits are going to the LA Children's Hospital Cancer Ward directly. The event's taking place September 20th, and if you get a ticket for the main event, you'll get into the pre-party the night before.
It's not just metal. We've also got wrestling. It's going to be some raffles, some crazy fun shit going on.
We're putting together some cool stuff. You know, some of the bands we got playing, obviously, got Dark Insanity. We have Ripped to Shreds. We got Mutilatred, their first West Coast show. We have Morden Red coming out from Texas. We have Gone from Long Beach. Teeth, Long Beach as well. Dissonant Death Metal. And we have Call the Paramedics with one of the wrestlers, Schlack. That's his band. As well as we have Nine Dead, a metalcore band from Jersey, coming out to play. So it's a diverse lineup. I'm pretty stoked for it. A lot of bands just donating their time. You know, come out and party for a good cause. Tickets are $40 too. So it's going to be a killer time with lots of good music and lots of blood. So come out and bleed with us.
So come check us out September 20th at 1720 in Los Angeles. Bam, back to live. Quick shirt change. Like a TikTok thing there. Yeah, if you're in the LA area, come out for that show. It's going to be fun and violent and charitable. Everything one needs. Speaking of my band, actually, I guess I can announce it here. This month, after that show, we are going to be recording a new single that I don't know when exactly it will be released, but sometime after it's recorded. But so later this month, we're recording a single I'm very stoked for, because it's always cool to me when people comment saying that they listen to my band. Some people have commented lately that they've been playing it like at their work and stuff. I'm like, that is fucking cool. That's awesome. And I'm very proud of our EP we have out. That you should go check out if you haven't. But I know our songs we do now are better, more crazy, more awesome. So I'm excited to drop this single on y'all out of nowhere. Anyway, let's get to some actual topics now. What do you say? First things first, the most important. I don't know about most important, but Hell's Heroes Festival in Houston, Texas, taking place March 19th to 21st. I'm definitely going to go just because I haven't been. It's a growing festival in America that is getting a lot of good word of mouth, I guess you would say. But look at the lineup. This is not something you see in America at festivals, except for like Maryland Death Fest. But looks like we've got Loudness, the Bathory tribute, Blood, Fire, Death. That will be fucking amazing. Probably the hottest location that they've ever played. Doro Pesh playing Warlock. I'm always down for Doro. Love her so much. I will always simp for Doro. Enslaved, Turk Schneider, Voivod, Tankard. Fuck yeah. Getting to see Tankard a lot lately. It's cool. Mentioned it last time, but Sanctuary, which I didn't even know was coming back. That's very interesting. 3 Inches of Blood, Destruction, if they don't cancel, Bulldozer, Midnight, Toxic Holocaust. You see what this festival goes for. Grinding as shit, underground, dirty scars, no clean production anywhere. And metal classics. Basically, their lineups are like if you went into an old Amoeba Rasputin and dug through the metal section. Virgin Steel, Grand Magus, one of my mom's favorite bands, actually. One of the years I went to Vakken, my mother was also there, and during Grand Magus, she went up to like the very front near the rail because she loved it. That's where I get my metal cred from. Someone will tell me, is that Bewitcher? Or someone will tell me what that one is. Manila Road, Jag Panzer, Holmes, Leather. I say Evil Invaders, I think. Cryptic Sermon, something else. You know, as it gets lower on the lineup, it's hard to tell what the fuck they are. We got White Wizard, Battle Ruins, Bat. and more. Yeah, what you guys think of the Hell's Heroes lineup? Yes, Grand Magus. I thought the same thing when I saw Destruction. Better hope it's part of a larger tour, because if it's a one-off, their chances of canceling are high. Yeah, unfortunately, it seems to happen often. Don't know why, but they shouldn't. Soup Can says, I love 3 Inches of Blood. Seen them live over 30 times. Damn, that's a lot. Toxic Holocaust is also incredible live. Night Fox says, is it possible to win a drinking contest against Tankard? Asking for a friend. That is up to you to find out. I wouldn't challenge it. I think those guys only get paid in beer. That's the only way they play shows. How many organs for plane and festival tickets from Croatia to Texas? Oh man, I don't know what the exchange rate is for organs going from Croatian to America. That's funny because to me, when I read Hell's Heroes, in my head, I'm automatically like, oh, it's a smaller, like easier festival because I'm close by. And then you're like, how do I get from Croatia all the way over there? It's a similar thing growing up, and I would go to Vakken and Hellfest and stuff, and I'd meet people there, and they'd be like, holy shit, you came from California all the way for this? And then when I went to Aftershock in Sacramento, which is near my hometown, I met people from Germany who came out just for that. And I was like, oh, that's what this feels like. Interesting. Any other comments? But damn, White Wizard is badass. One of my fave bands. Holy Grail split off from them originally. I haven't seen them in years. I saw White Wizard like in 2009 or something like that. Which is cool. They're a good band. But yeah, this Hell's Heroes does not appear to be going for the big Aftershock, Welcome to Rockville type festivals where they get the more mainstream deathcore, new metal, popular metal bands, which is fine. But I really like seeing festivals in America stick to underground, old school and old school influence type of shit. Coming from Germany for a US Fest seems ass backwards. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you, but it was up to them. I was hoping for more of a first wave black metal feel like a Merciful Fate, Venom, or a Creator deep cut set, but this is still lit. I thought maybe is Creator on Maryland Death Fest? Maybe it's that one. But they're doing some festival in America where they're saying they're doing the deep cut set. Which honestly is the only way I'd want to see Creator nowadays. I've seen Creator a lot. The most of the time, it's been great. But as they've gotten more melodic and boring and processed over time, yeah. Rumor has it they tried getting Merciful Fate or King. They would be a perfect band for this festival for sure. Doesn't King live in Texas? So probably wouldn't even be that difficult. Jag Panzer Rip, seeing them open for Satyricon. It will be a good one, for sure. I have not made any like official plans or booked anything or whatever, but I have every intention of going, let me say. Yeah, I thought King lives in Texas. What else do we talk about? Do you guys want to get into some news really quick, or do you want to jump into juicy Cradle drama? Or let's do announcements of news stuff, and then we'll get into the Springer segment. That was a good line. We might have to officially start a Springer segment here on the Wyatt's Metal Podcast. Whenever we have the juicy gossip, people fighting on the internet, it'll be the Springer segment. I'll make an intro of everyone going, this might have to happen. News that's drama. What's your top 5 non-metal bands? I mean, it's kind of hard because I don't think about like this one's my favorite, this one's my favorite. I kind of listen to what I like as it comes, but sorry, I was distracted. Let me think. One I've been really loving for ever since I saw him at Psycho Las Vegas is Black Joe Lewis. Plays this old school like soul rock, like James Brown type of rock. Oh, I fucking love it. It's so good. He was the artist I was most stoked to see when I went to Psycho. He had all these black metal bands and Cannibal Corpse and everything. I'm like, I want to see that motherfucker. I don't know. Because I feel like in one moment I'll be like Earth, Wind, and Fire, and then I'll be like Creedence Clearwater Revival, James Brown. I can definitely say for sure someone's always been top, no matter what, is Little Richard. Oh, man. Love fucking Little Richard. Everything Lemmy said about Little Richard was totally true. At this, I think it was the same Psycho Las Vegas, this band Mutoid Man played, and they were pretty good. And then out of nowhere, they did a metal cover of a Little Richard song. It was Keep on Knocking, and I lost my fucking mind. I was like, oh my fucking God. So I love that type of old school rock and roll. But I love classical stuff too. I love John Williams. He plays in LA pretty much every year. I got to see him, I think, 3 times now. Should definitely do that again. A lot of the joke AI slop songs on YouTube are really funny. None of the like, oh, we actually made metal with AI. No, but any of the like comical, ridiculous, stupid AI songs are pretty funny. Where are we? What are we doing? I liked Crater up to Enemy of God. After that, kind of became same old with them. Yeah, I think I made it up to Hordes of Chaos. And that one still had some real bangers then after that. But even that was getting repetitive after a while. And then now, I think last time I saw Creator was they were opening for Merciful Fate. And everyone after the show was talking about how great Merciful Fate was. And then when Creator got brought up, they were like, they were kind of boring. Like, I like, Kill 'em all, or not Kill 'em all, Pleasure to Kill and everything. But you like Sisters of Mercy. So I wouldn't say I'm a big fan at all, but I've seen them because they played Sick New World and maybe another. No, I saw them at Hellfest and at Sick New World. Both times I really liked them. I thought it was good. That's not really my type of music I sit around listening to, but at a festival at like night time or dusk and that type of music is playing, it's really cool. Oh shit. Katie F dropping a $9.99 super chat. Fucking thank you. That's awesome. You are so hilarious. Thank you so much for all the work you do to entertain. I'm assuming, but thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's awesome. I think with that, I made almost as much as I would have made if I was in Cradle of Filth. What about metal adjacent bands like Perturbator and Hylong? Perturbator is great. I am not a synth fan really at all, except for Perturbator. They are fantastic. Saw them at Psycho Las Vegas playing in the pool. It was definitely not sober. It was awesome. Seen Electric Callboy live? Yes, once. When they last played in LA or Anaheim at the House of Blues. So it was this probably smaller show than what they're used to now, but it was a lot of fun. They happened to be on tour like just right after I got into them. I was like, oh shit. That's how it is playing in LA or living in LA. You'll discover a band and it's like, oh, they're playing tomorrow. Let's go check it out. I meant to say entertain us. I figured you did. It's all good. This man enters taints. Yes. Wyatt's metal, savior of metal, enterer of taints. let's name drop some more non-metal stuff before we get into more metal stuff. Love Frank Sinatra. We'll play that all the time. I grew up, before I got into metal, was into old school 90s rap and hip hop, like early Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, that type of shit. No rap that comes after 2010. Hard stop after that. But I will still get down to some of the really early fun shit I grew up with. Literally anything from Fallout. Like, that's a good way to put it. Literally anything from Fallout or Guardians of the Galaxy, I like, and it's on my list. Sir Mix-a-Lot, hell yeah. Baby got back. See, where are we? Saw Cradle this year at Tulminator, not willingly, was passing by to the VIP area. Just felt like, oh, there they are. Yeah, like I said in the video, the only time I got to see Cradle with Zoe and the band was at Sick New World, when they played 3 songs and the sound was shit, and then the lights got turned on during them. I was like, well, that doesn't really count. People are saying the Pixies. I don't have anything against them, but it's just not my type of music. I think I saw them. It was the Pixies or one of those other type of bands. I think it was the Pixies. And they're good at what they do, but what they do is not for me. But they're not a band I'll go out of my way to shit on, really. Okay, let's get to some metal stuff. What are we getting to? There's a couple of announcements. Let's start with Sonic Temple, because they announced a couple of bands. Just listen to the Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtrack. You won't need anything else for the rest of your life. So, the first wave of artists announced for the Sonic Temple Festival next year in 2026, taking place in Columbus, Ohio. This is a much bigger festival than Hell's Heroes is, that we were just talking about. This is one of those massive outdoor, thousands of people. Parking is like $100. You're gonna get sunburned. Hang on, I'm dying. First bands announced are Lorna Shore, Paleface Swiss, Attila, Chelsea Grin, Brand of Sacrifice, and Disembodied Tyrant. Those are kind of what you get for these big type of festivals. Not throwing any type of not throwing any shade on any of these bands, but when you get to festivals like Aftershock, the Danny Wimmer really big ones, that's kind of what you get for the heavy bands, more of the core, what's hip and hot right now in the online space. So if you like that, more power to you. I am more of the Hell's Heroes, Milwaukee Metal Fest type of fan of music. Paleface are so sick. I don't care for that genre usually, but those dudes are awesome. They've been getting a lot of hype lately, I've seen. Do you like AC/DC? They're one of my dad's favorite bands. Yeah, of course. They were one of those bands that took me a long time to actually get into. When I was getting into metal and rock and everything, they were one of those bands I just could not do for a long time. But I saw them live at Download in 2010, and that instantly made me a fan for sure. It was fucking great. Yeah, we'll totally rock out to some air guitar if AC/DC comes on. I'm glad I got to see them once. I don't know if I would now, but when I did, they were fucking incredible. That's the only band I've seen live where I legitimately could not breathe in the crowd, and I had to fight backwards to get to a spot where I could actually breathe. Yeah, seeing them live makes a difference. Yeah, that'd be a good video to do, too. Bands that changed my mind when I saw them live. Because AC/DC is one. Lamb of God is one. I would say Unearth is one. I wasn't against them, but I had no thought on them until I saw them live. And they're fun. And more that I'll have to think of. But that'd be a good one. My next video is going to be what I consider the 20 best current metal bands. because we made fun of Watch Mojo for their shit, and then people are like, you should recommend what your list is. Like, all right, fine, I will. So look forward to that. But this is more of the type of shows I'm interested in. Wrecking Ball Metal Madness returns with Frozen Soul, Suffocation, Devourment, and more. Frozen Soul presents somewhere. Where is this? Texas. The beloved Texas Extreme Metal Fest will return on Saturday, October 25th, this October 25th, at the Echo in Dallas, Texas. Fucking hell. And it's got, in one day, I believe, Frozen Soul, Suffocation, Devourment, 200 Stab Wounds, Creeping Death, Ingrown, No Cure, Body Box, Tribal Gaze, Stabbing, Flesh Rot. Flesh Rot's really good. Bastardane, Myth Carver, Dysmorphia, Brain Injury Unit, and Brain Matter. A lot of brains bashed on the floor at the end of this festival. Yeah, one day gathering in Dallas, Texas. Seems more my style. I got to see Flesh Rot before and they were fucking awesome. Is this a trailer or is this a song? What is this? What am I looking at? Don't copyright me. An hour long. Fuck, never mind. Copyrighted. Frozen Soul, I'll tell you right now, is on my list of 20 of the best current metal bands. Should I spoil my list for you guys, or should I make you wait for the video to find out? Have I seen Portal live? I have not, actually. I have not gotten to. That's a heavy-ass bill. Holy shit, I'd be dead by time Frozen Soul comes on. Definitely neck broken by the time they come on, propped up like, ugh. You guys remember the first metal show you ever went to when you first headbanged? The next day, you had to actually like grab your head and be like, oh God, how does this work? Why did I do this? Yeah. Hang on, I'm checking. Wyatt, do you remember Corey Feldman? I saw Corey Feldman with Limp Bizkit. He was not the worst performer that day. He wasn't particularly great, but I remember me and my friend were walking down to the pit. We tried to get there late so that we would miss him. And that's the one time traffic was good going to an arena show. But we get there, we have pit tickets, and Corey Feldman's on. I'm like, let's just experience it. And walking down to the pit, it felt like that scene from Toy Story 3 when they were all like getting lowered in that fucking like boiling pit to their deaths. But he wasn't horrible. He was not horrible. Who else was there? Fucking No Face something. He was horrible. Oh my God. Oh, he's definitely better than Limp Bizkit. No, you're going way too far now. We might give Corey Feldman some type of pass, but how dare you speak ill of the Durstmeister on this channel? On this channel, you are not allowed to speak. We welcome free speech unless you talk shit about Lemmy or Fred Durst. Then insta-ban for the rest of your life. Anything else you can shit on. You can make fun of me. You can make fun of my hairline. You can make fun of my gym set in the background. Don't you fucking talk about Lemmy or Fred Durst. Anyway, you like Madball, seeing them for the first time in a couple of weeks. I've seen them before. That's the type of that's more up my alley, the hardcore punk. It will be a wild show for sure. There will be violence. I did not compare Fred Durst and Lemmy. I said they're both protected people on this channel. Durst is not on the level of Lemmy. Come on. But that's like comparing Jesus to a patron saint. Like, they're not the same. But you still, I guess, show respect. I don't know how lore works. Give him $1 or something. I know this has nothing to do with Corey or Limp Bizkit, but did you ever get that copyright strike from Tank the Tech video? Oh, so yeah, in Tank's video talking about how much reactors get paid or don't get paid, and he was testing the copyright for it, and I was like, let's see if we get copyrighted for it. No, nothing ever popped up for that. So in my 20 current bands video, I'll try to put clips of all the bands in there. We will see how well YouTube allows that. Which can bring me into, an announcement that I thought would be a good idea. So, I think that I will be starting a Patreon soon. Let me explain before everybody freaks out. Anyone who has a membership on YouTube where you're already doing that, the Canadian Kaiju campaign, if there's some way to just transfer that over or like give a credit for it, I totally will. But I was thinking with the Patreon, I could have video for the $1 a month like I do here. I could upload uncensored videos with more music clips in them. So if YouTube wants to be a bitch and age restrict one of my videos, you could, if you were signed up to the Patreon, you'd still be able to watch it totally fine. And I'm pretty sure over there I'd be allowed to do more clips of bands without worrying. So that was an idea that I think I will do. And it will definitely be called the Canadian Kaiju campaign on Patreon. But what do you guys think of that idea? I think it's a good one. Always knew you were a poser. You got me. Patreon for poser. What years count as modern after 2000s, 2010s? Or I'm counting it as bands that are currently active that are not in the twilight of their careers, where they're still releasing albums that are still people are excited to hear. It's not just, oh, we shit out another one just to go back on tour. Like, I would count one I'm going to put on the list is Ghoul. Ghoul's been around for a long time. I listened to them in middle school, but they are still active, still touring, still releasing music. So to me, that counts. So if a band shows up that like they've been around for 20 years, but they're not in the senior citizen phase of their careers, then they're still eligible for the list. Interesting idea. Will the donos also go to Invasion of Canada? Of course. It's called the Canadian Kaiju campaign. It's to fund my invasion. Do I listen to any Norwegian music? Of course, yeah. All of the black metals. I love Dark Funeral. I know some people give them shit to compare them to the other black metal bands, but they're one of the ones I'd play often. Abath is sick. Who else we got? All of those guys. I love Des Mysterious, Dom Satanez. Not really much Mayhem in the current years, but see, like Mayhem, I probably would not count as being on the list because they're more in the Twilight phase. What are we doing? You'll be doing streams in Armenian classes in no time. Anyway, more topics to bring up, more breaking news. Actually, speaking of new announcements, new music coming out, where is it? Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Another band that just released a new song. I'll say right now, a band I'm not like a huge fan of, but it's a good segue. A band that just released a new song is Mudvayne. And someone who just released a cover of that new song is Gundrummer. And we're playing that shit right now. If you guys aren't subscribed to Gun Drummer, you need to do it. That's so fucking sick. I love the guitar chug with the ARs firing. The song doesn't sound bad actually. I've never been a Mudvayne fan, but it sounds good. The day he was filming this, he sent me a video at like 5 a.m. going into his fucking armory. He has like, so what am I going to use for today's video? And it looks like a Call of Duty level. Here we go. Anyway, yeah, check out Gun Drummer. Awesome dude. Shout out to him. Does the best covers on YouTube by far. Anyway. I love Mudvayne, but I thought their new song was kind of mid. Well, now it's better because it's got a gun cover. For Dark Insanity, I want to have Gun Drummer guess on a song. We've got to do something where we can record him firing and use it for a breakdown. Wyatt, there's an Indonesian gothic black metal band called Standekala. If you want to check them out, they're just as good as Cradle of Filth's music, in my opinion. Hopefully they're nowhere near as cunts as Cunt of Filth are. The 50 cal drum mag always gets me, dude. I know. I'm pretty sure he had that made, and he has 2 of them. There's videos where he has 2 of those rifles going at the same time. Dude's gonna give himself fucking Parkinson's just by firing rifles. I wonder how much ammo he goes through in dollars per video. A lot. A lot. Was that drum mag blurred out because of YouTube? Yeah, dude. So for those who don't know, if you're unfamiliar with Gun Drummer, he's now like the most restricted person on YouTube. When I first started following him years ago, he would upload a video and get 1 million views immediately. Like, he was huge. And then YouTube changed their system, so now any gun content on YouTube at all, it immediately gets restricted. Like, he's shown me that his videos that he's had up for years, he'll get emails now age restricting them, which means it cuts off the traction and basically the money for it. So not only that, but sometimes he has to deal with the YouTube restriction, and he'll have to deal with copyright claim if a band is being shitty about it. It's really crazy to see. Like, he has way more subscribers than me. When he wasn't restricted, he was easily getting more than 1 million views per video, and now my channel is doing way better than his because of the restrictions. If those restrictions weren't there, he would be flying easily. But yeah, so YouTube is lame like that. He does not want to put those over the drum mags, but he's trying anything he can. Imagine Gun Drummer live. He's doing a live. One of his now good friends is Twista, the rapper. Twista shows up in his videos all the time, and they're gonna go shooting together. They're not shooting, they're doing a live thing together. Or what was he telling me? It's like, I think Twista's performing to the crowd, and then Gun Drummer's behind shooting at the stuff. But yeah. Yeah. Anyway. What are we doing? Up next, we have Oh, shit. Forgot about that. I wanted to go over this really quick because I didn't look at it, but speaking of drama in the metal world, this one's not Cradle of Filth. Ex-Venom members Mantis and Abaddon reunite in legal battle against Kronos over Venom logo copyright. Don't you guys get sick of seeing bands you grew up loving all taking each other to court for dumbass reasons? Just be cool to each other. The metal world would be so much better if everyone was just cool. Cradle of Filth wouldn't have 40 X's if they were just cool. Nobody wants to be fucking cool anymore. Anyway, Mantis and Abaddon, iconic co-founders of the pioneering black metal band Venom, are reaching out to their loyal fans, the Legions, for support in a legal battle against former bandmate Kronos. Since 2023, Mantis and Abaddon have fought to resolve two critical issues: securing recognition for their contributions to Venom's legendary artwork and claiming their rightful share of merchandise profits from albums they co-wrote and performed, including Welcome to Hell, all the good albums, basically. Never put mustard in the fridge. If you're just listening, you'd be like, what? Mantis is a pussy. Nutter became Hindu. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah, this is a situation. I don't know who's in the right at all. So I'm just reading the article. Now in their 60s, Mantis and Abaddon seek a fair resolution to ensure their families benefit from Venom's enduring legacy, which helped define the black metal genre. We're simply asking for what is rightfully ours, they said in a joint statement. After decades of avoidable conflict, we want peace and closure. Despite efforts to resolve the dispute amicably, the duo have been forced to pursue legal action, incurring significant personal and financial costs. The legal battle intensified in June 2024, with Kronos suing Abaddon, accusing the distributor of selling merchandise with Lance, is that Kronos? Copyrighted Venom designs and Bray of approving the infringement through selling merch that he wanted money for. The dispute revolved around the fact that both parties were licensing and selling official Venom merchandise featuring the contested designs. That is such an interesting issue. So I guess if you want, you can make a contribution to their legal fund if you feel they're in the right. I honestly don't know. Venom has not been as much as a revolving door as Cradle of Filth has by any means, but I think they have gone through session members a bit here and there. Crow says, I hope Kronos wins. Satan loves copyright. What time is it for you? It is almost 1:30 for me in the afternoon. I know they've had issues, hence why there's Venom and Venom Inc. Yeah, and then even with Venom Inc., it's not the members that it was when it started. So, like, the offshoot of Venom has its own problems now, too. I saw Venom Inc. a few years ago. It was sick. I haven't seen the Kronos version. I've seen both. I personally think the Kronos version's better, probably just because of his iconic voice. But when I've seen Venom, it's been amazing. But I really like Venom Inc. too. Like I said, just be cool, people. Just kiss and make up and play satanic metal. Let's do more exciting news. Should we go over the old man was talking shit report? Which I mean, fuck it, why not? Gossip, drama. It's time for the Springer segment, I guess you could say. Jack Osbourne slams pathetic Roger Waters after Pink Floyd founder trashes Ozzy Osbourne. I'm from the future, and yes, the Clankers won. No! You maniacs! Callium says, if anyone is interested, I'll be at Prague Power USA tomorrow through Saturday. I'll be the guy in the We Rock Together shirt, leather jacket, blue jeans, and a lot of curly hair. Also, sick ass lineup, I'm guessing. Oh shit, I didn't know that was already happening. Prague Power taking place this weekend. Apparently, no bands have been arrested. Like, who was that? Iron Savior we're afraid of. I told them I'd come back to that, and I will. But yeah, if you guys don't remember, the band Iron Savior dropped off Prague Power early this year, claiming that they were afraid of Trump. And it seems like the festival is still happening, so I don't know what to tell them. Anyway, down with the Clankers. Gun Drummer just turned Mudvayne's Trauma Anthem into a Second Amendment drum solo because nothing says hurt people like rim shots from a rifle stock. It's pretty great, isn't it? Yeah. The real treasure was the Clankers we killed along the way. Damn. Anyway. Ozzy Osbourne's son, Jack, has blasted Roger Waters after the Pink Floyd co-founder claimed in an interview that he never did care about Black Sabbath and couldn't give a fuck about Ozzy. While speaking with The Independent Inc., Waters said, Ozzy Osbourne, who just died, bless him in his whatever state that he was in his whole life, we'll never know. Although he was all over the TV for hundreds of years with his idiocy and nonsense. The music, I have no idea. I couldn't give a fuck. Then he added, I don't care about Black Sabbath. I never did. Have no interest in biting the heads off chickens or whatever they do. I couldn't care less, you know. So that was Roger Waters' take on Ozzy. A lot of people flip shit, saying it was disrespectful and he's an asshole. And they are right. I'm definitely not going to disagree with the stance that his opinion is incredibly stupid. Like, I'm not what was Black Sabbath doing? Eating chickens or something? Like, you sound like Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino. Like, you sound like you're just going to scream at anyone who gets near your yard. That's what Roger Waters sound like. But for what he said, I guess I wasn't offended by it because I don't give a flying fuck what Roger Waters thinks about anything at all. This dude has only bitched about everything. He's only like sued his former bandmates, sued anyone who talks about him. Anytime he's in an interview, he's just arguing with the person. I could not give less of a fuck about what Roger Waters thinks about anything. But the Osbourne family does definitely get hyped when someone shits talk Ozzy, which I can't blame him for at all, obviously, since he just passed. I do want to say, though, that like people were saying this claim of he was all over the TV for hundreds of years with his idiocy and nonsense, and people were saying he called Ozzy Osbourne's legacy idiocy. And I'm like, as much as we all love Ozzy and just honored him, and it was horrible that he just passed away and everything, are we not going to pretend like a big reason that a bunch of people loved him is because of how ridiculous he was on TV and behind the scenes? I'm not backing Roger Waters. He is an old, retarded fuck. But I prefer Ozzy way more than Roger Waters. But I just don't get this like fake outrage in being like, someone said that Ozzy was an idiot and did nonsense. Like he did. That was part of the reason why everybody liked him. He, like, you know that. Everyone loves the burrito video. Everyone loves the video of him falling over in the yard, breaking a window. But I would argue that that was part of his charm. Not that it made him some weird nonsense, whatever he was doing. I'm too high and mighty. Roger Waters. You know what I mean? You're entitled to your opinion, even if your opinion is retarded. That's exactly what I think. That is exactly my opinion. Silly old guy, just stick to selling out light shows and stadiums. Pretty much, yeah. Last week, Kelly got upset at WWE wrestler Becky Lynch for talking about Ozzy in her promo to get heel heat. That one I honestly felt like was an overreaction. Because that was kind of the whole part of the character in that segment was to be the villain, the dickhead of it. And then even then, I didn't feel like she really shit on Ozzy that much. She was shitting on Birmingham, but even in it, she was saying like Ozzy's the only good thing to come from here. That's still giving credit to Ozzy. So I thought that one was a little bit of an overreaction from people. Like 100% sympathy to the Osborne family, of course, for what happened. But I understand why one of them would get mad at it. But in terms of other people, fans just like jumping on the drum, like I'm not gonna go along with it, I guess. Waters being correct that a lot of people like Ozzy for his goofy habits doesn't negate the fact that he sounds like a cunt. Yes, you are correct. You are correct. No part of me is backing Roger Waters in any way. I think he's an old douchebag. Tony Iommi is God. But anyway, what did Jack Osborne say? Jack said, "Hey, Roger Waters, fuck you. How pathetic and out of touch you've become." He's completely correct. The only way you seem to get attention these days is by vomiting out bullshit in the press. My father always thought you were a cunt. Once again, based Ozzy. Thanks for proving him right. Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree with Jack. During a 2004 chat with Rolling Stone, Osborne said that the Pink Floyd classic Money was one of his favorite rock songs, adding that it stirred up vivid recollections of LSD. It has nothing to do with what the fuck we're talking about. Yeah, old cunt whines about being oldie and cunty. Moving on. Roger Waters made the grave mistake of dissing a metal legend. Yeah. Although to be fair, I did not watch the interview that was part of. Did the interviewer ask him about Ozzy? And then he went off? Because there's lots of times when these, maybe not that one, but a clickbait one will be like, this person shit talked this band. And if you watch the full interview, it's the interviewer asking them, sometimes out of fucking nowhere, what they think about this. And they're like, oh, you said this. But everyone is right that Roger Waters is a pretentious asshole. It is entirely possible that this person was like, so how was your lunch today? And he was like, fuck Ozzy. I'm like, all right. Roger Waters made the mistake of being Roger Waters. He made the mistake. He is a mistake. I'm sure Pink Floyd feel the same way. Hey all, I wish I could stick around, but the money ain't going to make itself. Like the stream. Thank you, Jason. Shout out to you. Appreciate that. Appreciate you always showing up, holding it down, fighting off the retards. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to get to before we get to the Cradle drama. I mean, I've covered the majority of it, but there's some more things I want to get to because so many people are wrong about that situation. But before we get to that, police report 911 calls offer more details about crash that killed Brett Hines. I did not look into this yet. It's probably fucked up. An Atlanta Police Department incident report and 911 calls have offered new insight into motorcycle crash that killed Brent. I was wondering if there's going to be body cam footage from this. Brent was reportedly riding a Harley-Davidson motorcycle August 20th when he was hit by an SUV, turning left and failed to yield at the intersection like a dumbass. Not him, the person who hit him. Less than 2 miles from downtown Atlanta. Is there like a talking thing, one of those AI cops saying what happened. Here's have a report. What is this ad? Go away. All right, maybe not. Wait, where is it? I went too far down. My bad. The driver who hit Hines remained at the scene and spoke with investigators. She told the police that she was positive the light was green. Well, you were wrong, bitch. As she turned and kept going straight when she hit Hines on his motorcycle. However, one witness who spoke to officers said that he looked at the light at the time of the incident and saw it was red. Crucify her. The same witness and the second witness both said that Brent was driving fast when the crash occurred. A 911 caller who said one was 2 cars back from the accident described seeing Hines going up in the air immediately following the impact and spinning a couple of times. And then he fell. It looks like his left leg buckled over his right leg. I saw 2 cars back, so I didn't get to see the full impact. But if you saw him spinning multiple times in the air from 2 cars back, that was a hard hit. But I heard the impact and saw him spinning. Fucking hell. The reporting police officer wrote, "At the moment I arrived on the scene, Hines was breathing and moving with visible injuries to his head, arms, and torso. He was transported to the hospital where he perished." Fuck. Check the fucking light next time. Make sure you yield if there's any lesson from this. That sucks balls, man. They have the footage. Why does she think she can speak that without getting called on it? Dude, people are insane. Like, if you watch the body cam channels on YouTube, you just learn human behavior. People will be claiming their innocence while they're in the middle of doing the act. I've seen videos of people holding hostages saying, "I swear I didn't do anything." I saw one recently. Some guy got in a car wreck and he ran off, and the cop goes after him and follows him. And the guy is running away. The cop's telling him to stop. The guy jumps into the van of some old woman and is trying to carjack her, is trying to drive away. You can hear the woman screaming. The cop runs up, fires, I think, 2 shots, hits the guy, doesn't hit the old woman. She gets out. She's fine. And as the suspect is in the old woman's van, bleeding as he's been shot, he keeps yelling, "I swear to God, I didn't do nothing." And you're just like, how? How is there not a point where you're like, yeah, all right, I fucked up? Human behavior. Humans are not intelligent creatures. They just happen to have thumbs. That's all that is. That shit is so aggravating. Oh, God. When people make mistakes while driving, they tend to not take responsibility for some reason. Yeah. Maybe she really, really thought that it was green, but I don't know. Some people will see no fault within themselves no matter what they do. Oh, yeah. Did you guys see the body cam video of the woman who had 2 dead babies in her car? And when she's in the investigation room, she's crying that people will think she's a bad person. Some people will not ever admit to some of the things they did. Oh my God. Yeah, that was a crazy ass video. I swear I saw that video when it had like maybe 500,000 views. And then the next day it had like 20 million views. It blew up so quick. That was nuts. The officers were sick. Yeah. How could you not be? Like, for the viewers, we see it in the title. We know what to expect. The cop doesn't know what the fuck is going on. Like, God. Don't even get me started on that shit. Yeah, dude, it was insane. Anyway, just showed up. What are we talking about? We were making fun of the woman who killed Brett Hines, honestly. That's what we were doing, honestly. And just people who don't take accountability for anything. Speaking of which, is it time to get into Cradle of Filth? Or do we have anything else to get to? Actually, that's a good segue. Maybe we should. Being a police officer must be one of the hardest jobs because you see how sick humanity can be. Yeah, man. Watching these body cam channels like Donut Opera and everything, it made me gain a whole lot of respect for good police. Because I used to believe that every cop was evil, period, no matter what. And now I'm definitely not. Now I have the utmost respect for good police. That does not mean that there are not bad police. And when you see those videos, they are fucking infuriating. But yeah, to see videos of cops dealing with fucking idiots, and you're just like, how do you have to put up with this shit? Or the video with the old lady that had a raccoon in her car and the raccoon was holding her crack pipe. That was great. The cop was dying laughing, and the woman's just like... Shout out to the cool cop at the Aftershock Festival in Sacramento who was managing traffic on the freeway overpass above the festival, but he was very clearly watching Shadows Fall, and he was like throwing his hands up and filming the band while they were playing. That was awesome. Yeah. Danny's most recent response is unhinged. Did he do another one, or is it the one where he brought his mother into it out of fucking nowhere and was like, let's not bring in families? Jesus Christ. I understand that Roger Waters is the most douchebag of a cunt in history, but not even the devil himself is mean enough to hate Ozzy. Yep. Anyways... I saw a cop pull a guy over during Hemorrhage's set, and they were both watching them perform. That's hilarious because Hemorrhage always gets stopped by cops because they just pull up and play anywhere in the middle of nowhere. Those dudes are fucking awesome. Did you guys hear about the mortician in the UK that got caught watching TV with dead babies in high chairs? No, I did not. But to be fair, that's got to be a very lonely job. You got to make friends somehow or you'll go crazy. And when you're spending all your time with your coworkers, you got to do something, you know? So... Ugh. Yeah. No, I did not see that. That's fucking crazy. Excuse me. All right, I guess we're looking this up. I'll pause for the Danny drama and go into UK crazy mortician bitch. UK mortician dead. That's all I typed in. I don't know where I can find it. I don't know where it is. I'm not finding it. So if someone can link it or whatever. Happened last week or the week before. Anyway, don't be crazy, people. People are fucking weird. Anyway, speaking of crazy, weird, unhinged people, fuck it, let's get into the Danny drama. The Cradle of Gossip, the Springer segment. Where should we start? Now, I posted my video. If you guys didn't see, I have the hour-long one that covered everything from the beginning, their first initial statements. I understand if people didn't want to watch a full hour video of it. So the one that I just did recently covers their latest statements. But the main reason I was making that video, I was actually making it before their statements went out, and then I had to redo it as they were both posting. Me and a friend of mine were joking, take a shot every time either Zoe or Danny posts saying that this is their final statement. You'll be wasted. But what was I saying? Yes, I posted that video there. The reason I made that video was I was collecting evidence from other former members of Cradle of Filth who have complained about the exact same problems, because these problems have been public for years. And if you've been watching this channel for a little bit, you'll be familiar with that. One thing that seems to grind my gears is slander against people when it's not deserved, even if I'm not the biggest fan of that person. And that's definitely what's happening to Zoe right now with the Cradle of Filth situation. All of the, as I would like to call them, cradle cucks are going off calling her Yoko Ono, saying that everything was fine with the band until she showed up and then she destroyed it because she's a crazy woman. And what was I saying? It's weird to me because all of the evidence that I've seen that's been presented has pointed in the direction of Danny being a cunt. But people have decided that no, they like Cradle of Filth so much they're going to ignore all these things. But anyway, I'm kind of randomly rambling here. I'm a Cradle of Filth fan, and I don't think Zoe is the crazy one. I think Danny is the asshole here. Yeah, he's part of it for sure. But that was a great comment. Danny won't go into specifics because every scenario made him look terrible. Exactly. I happened to notice that Zoe posted the entire contract and was focusing on business problems. And Danny not only didn't address most of that or just said, oh, it's defamation. He went for saying that they're alcoholics and their marriage was on the rocks and she's trying to destroy the band and they're attacking his mom out of nowhere. I think I publicly went, what the fuck, when I read that. Yoko Ono didn't even deserve that reputation. Zoe is a way better singer than Yoko Ono. You can all shut the fuck up. That's absurd. How dare you? Danny just played the victim and never took responsibility at all. Yeah, exactly. It reads to me like abuser behavior, to be honest. When you have a history of exes all saying the same thing, and then this person comes out and you resort to gaslighting, playing the victim card, not taking accountability for anything, making shit up, fucking, I think trying to say words are falling out. Let me chug more caffeine. Now, in my defense of Zoe in this situation, which is based entirely on my analysis from all sides of what's going on, which is really funny to me that if you read some of the comments on the Cradle of Filth videos about this, I am now a simp for Zoe. I am now white knighting for Zoe, which means that I am a simp for both Zoe and Ronnie Radke. Two people who could not be further apart if they fucking tried. Which I think is very hilarious to me. Zoe is a person that I know I have a lot of disagreements on when it comes to politics and stuff. She's posted a lot of stuff on her personal page that I thought was retarded. But that has no effect into who I think is right in this situation based on the facts, the things that are presented, and some of the things I've heard from people behind the scenes that I can't fully say. I've heard things from multiple people that make my belief not just a belief, it's a pretty strong fact. But anyway, first thing I wanted to get to is we had a couple of YouTubers release their statements on the band, or not their takes on what happened. First one I want to show you guys, because if you guys did not watch my video that I just did on the Cradle situation, a lot of clips are from this podcast called Scars and Guitars. They are a podcast that has, I don't know, I honestly didn't look into them that much, but it seems like they've been really focused on the Cradle of Filth drama, the Cradle of Filth iceberg, you could say, for a long time. They've interviewed most of the former musicians of Cradle of Filth, and all of their podcasts are talking about the drama behind the scenes with Danny, with Dez, with management. It's a repeating pattern from all of them. I used a bunch of their clips in my video, and I linked all of them if you want to watch them. But they uploaded this one today, 10 hours ago. And I wanted to play just a short clip for people to hear. And where are we at? Anyway, yeah, this is from the podcast host in discussion with Ben Williamson.
This has been brewing for a long time, as you know. Certainly ever since my awareness of through the conversations with Stuart and Nick in particular. And there was definitely a feeling of inevitability about this, and that it's Zoe. I have had another discussion with someone today who was very close to the whole setup, and I shared that Zoe seems to be cut from very different cloth to anybody else that has been in that group, and she has a very strong sense of right and wrong, justice, and her sense of justice, and she clearly feels like as though she's been wronged, and of course Marek as well.
Let me comment on that, because I think it would be fair to say that Zoe would consider herself a social justice warrior. If she doesn't consider herself that, her political opinions at least completely agree with that mindset. She definitely would consider herself a feminist. I've seen her get mad at people for making jokes about women in metal, jokes that the chat will probably explode with right now. But I say that to say that I think when she feels that she's in the right, she will stand by that and will not be knocked down. And if that were a situation where she was in the wrong, it would be embarrassing. But in a situation where she is in fact in the right and she was wronged, it makes sense that she is the type of person who would bring this more public than a lot of other members would. Because like she's all about, well, maybe not all about, but speaking about scumbags in the industry, people who are abusers, being against that, taking a firm stance of women being strong against that type of people. She voted bear, let's just say. That stupid ass thing. So she's someone that I could have a lot of political and like fucking lame ass culture war disagreements with. But I think when it comes to a situation where she's in the right, she's the type of person who will stand there and not be taken down by shit being swung at her and being like, oh, it'd be easier if I just stayed quiet. Some people might be woke retards, but she and Ashok Def didn't deserve any of the treatment they got. Any of them, in fact, didn't. Yeah. If you don't agree with someone politically, that doesn't mean they're a bad person. My best friend couldn't be further away from my views, and I love that idiot. Oh, yeah, and your life is boring as shit if you only hang out with people you only fully agree with. And if we were really to get into it, I would argue that me and Zoe probably agree on more things than not, but we disagree on how to get to those things, which I think most people end up being at in life or in America. One more comment, then I'm going to continue it. Crow says, Boris T basically said that's how bands are run and blew it off. Yeah, I like Boris T. I watch his channel. He's a really cool dude, but I thought he completely missed a lot of the main arguments here in the situation. Like, he completely blew over the issue about her likeness and rights. And I'm like, how did you miss that? Because that's such a big fucking issue that like made me lose my mind. But so I like Boris, but I felt like he did not look into it that much. He kind of just approached it from a session musician thought they were a band member when they weren't, when that wasn't the entire story. Anyway,
is that a good place to start, or where would you like to begin?
I would say so. I heard obviously your episode with Zoe a while ago, and I think I've listened to her in another podcast, but I could be imagining that. And what amazes me as a starting point is like you've done the doing the Chronicles of Filth, speaking to a lot of people who have a lot of interesting stories to tell, but a lot of those events happened prior to the internet, where you couldn't just publish your version of events, and if anything, people shut up shop and they didn't lay things bare. Whereas the era now, especially if you've got someone like Zoe, I suppose, and Ashok, who get on the front foot and use social media as a way to air things, get things out in the open. It strikes me as interesting because you've been working on the Chronicles for a while, and all of a sudden we've spoken about this, and then all of a sudden this is sort of there's this mushroom cloud of the very things that I think you'd been prodding at for a long time, and here it is laid out in episodic detail. Which reads,
that's, I think, a very important point too, is Cradle of Filth is a band that's been around since before social media. And even in current recent, a lot of metalheads aren't fully up to date on how social media works now. So it was a lot easier to pressure some of these session musicians into a situation of, well, we're going to treat you like shit, and if you speak up on it, we'll tell everyone that you're crazy, and then you'll never work again. But then when you have someone just come with, here is the full contract that we were told to sign, it's hard to ignore that. And that's why it's blew up into such a big thing, because all of the other members formerly of Cradle of Filth have spoken about these same issues. But it doesn't seem like many of them blew up as much as Zoe's did. And I think that's partially why, because she provided real proof, not just being like, oh, they were mean.
Almost like a drama. Well, it is a drama, because people are posting their view. Here's a post, and here's a follow-up post, and then there's another one, and then Danny's one came out the other day. It's a really weird way to do business, I think. That's my impression. First up,
that it's being played out in public.
I'm not playing this whole podcast. I'm just playing some parts here, so don't worry.
In the way that it is.
You should check it out. It's very interesting.
This is the only surprising aspect of this. Zoe felt that she wasn't going to get attention to any of the issues she needed to address unless she did it this way. And what is more intriguing is that Danny's followed suit. So I just want to, just for the sake of setting...
Danny is legally, publicly retarded. He should have shut the fuck up a while ago.
The scene, if you like, I've got a printout, and this is as best as I can put a timeline of events together. I'll just go through everything high level without giving War and Peace. So it was, I assume this is US time. So 27th of August for us, or 26th of August for them, 27th for us. But Zoe announces her departure. So she posted a lengthy statement on her Facebook page explaining her mid-tour exit from Cradle, and this is where she cites years of unprofessional behaviour from people above us, alluding to low pay, high stress, and a threatening and abusive atmosphere.
Which, if you go through Scars and Guitars podcast with other former members of Cradle, they will pretty much all say that same thing.
Was the key there, and mismanagement. And she called out, the Ed Sheeran thing, I think, is foolish.
That was hilarious.
Or was that Marek? It might have been.
Yeah, I was going to shock later. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There was references to Oracle Management, which is Des Fafara and his wife Anastasia, alluding to exploitative practices. Touring conditions were toxic with inadequate compensation, a lot of financial strain there. Band members are being paid as little as $500 a month.
My mom broke it down. I posted this on my Instagram. I made more money in August as a YouTuber than the members of Cradle of Filth made in terms of like performing and everything. But before I get to that, actually, someone left a comment I really wanted to read. This one. This whole situation is not a Cradle of Filth issue. It's a music industry issue. Seeing all this shit shows everyone that the music business is a business. Everyone is replaceable. They don't care. That is exactly why I think this should be a big issue where people know about all the details, because it's not just a Cradle of Filth situation. It's not just one person felt like they should have got a little bit more money than they did. It is a big problem, not only in the entire music industry, but especially in the metal industry, because you have these starry-eyed fans who look up to these bands they grew up with, and then if they get approached with a shit deal, they'll take it just to be able to be like, oh my God, I love that band when I was a kid, and they'll be fucked over. It could fucking ruin their career, could ruin their life. Some of these former members were talking about how depressed they were. I know Zoe's not having a good old happy time right now dealing with all this, you know? But like Lindsay said that she was close to taking her life because of the situation. So yeah, like, I don't think it should be blown off as a, why would you post the contract? If you don't like the deal, don't take it. This is way bigger than that. It's not just Danny. It's much bigger than Danny, which most things are.
$100 a month as a retainer plus touring fees, which don't cover living expenses. And there was some comment about fat shaming as well. Did you pick up on that?
Yeah, I saw that. I think it was in reference to a previous female vocalist, Annabelle, or something like that. And because Danny addressed that in his lengthy reply, saying that management didn't say don't be overweight, but watch your health in the lead up to, I don't know, promotion or something. I
don't care about that part, honestly.
I can't remember the words. So again, there's, you know, their version, your version from Danny, but all that other stuff, yeah, that was all laid out, wasn't it?
What was this is where it starts to get very complicated, because not long after that statement, Marek announced that he was going to stay on in the tour.
Yeah.
And he said, I support my wife, but he also talked about low pay and unprofessionalism. Yeah. But of course, as I mentioned, he was going to stay on the tour. I can't imagine how he thought that was even going to happen after it.
Yeah, I think it was pretty obvious. So, like, I don't think you're going to play out the rest of the tour, man.
Either, after Zoe's response anyway.
Even if Danny wasn't a dickhead, I don't think anyone would have blamed him for being like, I'm going to just fire you instead of having you finish the tour.
But I'll just continue. But that's when Danny came out, probably hours later, and he announced Marek's immediate firing on the band's channels. And he talks about the couple's attempt to illegally defame and derail the band. Danny was shocked and dismissed the allegations as unfounded, whilst wishing them personally all the best, or personally well, but emphasising the band's need to move forward. So this is something happened. So the next day, Zoe shared screenshots.
This part, I was waiting for them to talk about the contract. And then next I'm going to jump to Bradley Hall's video about it.
Of the contracts. This is not the first time that contracts have been discussed on the show.
I like the picture that they used of Zoe for this, because she has this face of like, you want to go?
But this is the first time anybody's ever seen the bloody things.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll hand over to you on that point. What's your take on the contractual situation there? Because there's a lot happening.
Making a photo of the contract and making that public is a pretty bold move. Contracts are, by dint of their nature, something that is usually private between employer and employee.
It was a very bold move. I think when she posted that, everyone went, okay.
And like you say, that's the one that outlined the £200 per day on performance days, and I think it was £150 a day on travel days, and a £1,000 retainer for the year, and things like that, all of which to the untrained layman looks pretty low for a band that is selling out sort of 2,000 capacity venues on a tour, and they're obviously touring a lot. So I was thinking about a couple of things. Two things on the contract. It's very hard to determine how much money people are actually going to make. If they sell out a 2,000 capacity venue at $80 a ticket, surely at least half of that goes towards the venue and all the elements that go into it. Then there'd be another quarter going elsewhere. I don't know. But you'd be left with a fair chunk at the end, even if it's a fifth or a quarter, surely. So that seems like a lot of money left over to only pay the 5 other performers in the band what amounts to about $400 Australian.
Where's the money, Danny? Where's the fucking money, filthy Davey, whatever?
It doesn't sound like much in that.
Like, literally not a joke. I made more money doing YouTube last month than what the pay rate was for Cradle of Filth.
Scale. So first of all, I think everyone was shocked when they saw that.
And I'm not making a shit ton of money by any means.
What really it made me curious was Danny's long response, the 2,000 word response, talked about how that contract wasn't a kind of concrete contract, but was more a starting point for discussion.
That is a complete fucking lie, you glittery little hobbit.
Which I find a really strange excuse, because that if anyone's read that contract, it looks very legal. It looks very watertight. Every element is written in legal grammatical structure and things like that. And you just sign on the dotted line. You sign, and once you sign, that's it. You're in. So for Danny to say, "Oh, that was just a starting point for further negotiations," or "We didn't look at it closely before we sent it off," is also what he said. Management, or we just glanced at it quickly, and then we shot it off to them.
The lie detector has determined that is a lie. You are the father, Danny.
Well, obviously, neither of us know the truth of the matter. We're only speculating about what's publicly available, but that seems to me a pretty strange thing for a watertight project like Cradle of Filth to have done. Fired off an old contract that wasn't actually up to date, sign it anyway, send it back to us, and then we'll negotiate further. That's just not how business works. So
that doesn't happen. That's complete horseshit. Because as someone else mentioned in the video, Danny's claim of it was never meant to be signed. It was a bad contract. What if they signed it? Would you have been like, oh, you weren't supposed to do that? Never mind. Null and void. I don't think so.
I think Danny almost put his foot in it a little bit by insisting too much on the nature of that contract. I don't know. What do you reckon?
I don't think he looked into the optics enough in this situation whatsoever, because that's the question that I had for someone today, was who is intimate in the music industry and in his English, and has had a lot to do with the setup. I said, is that normal? He said, no, it's not normal at all. Normally the contract you receive is the one you're expected to sign. That's standard practice. Like, it's not like...
Exactly.
What? No way.
It's not like going to a car yard. and going back and forth until you get what you want on the bloody Ford Falcon or whatever. You know, it's not quite like that. So why would he put that out there and say that it was merely a starting point for negotiations? And by the way, we did, and words to the effect, I'm paraphrasing, we didn't even check it.
Yeah.
He's a lying little midget.
It was almost as if to admit that it's a lowball offer, because he didn't come out and say, you know what, that's the contract, sign it, or there are plenty of other people who'll do it for that amount. And yeah, it does seem low, but that's the perils of modern musicianship. He could have said something like that, but he didn't. He tried to say, oh, it wasn't really the real thing. So
Yeah.
Implying that more money was forthcoming later on.
Yeah, it was that aspect of it, I must say, was by far the most telling from my perspective after all of the conversations that I've had, because Antoinette, Stuart's wife, pointed out the same thing, and she told Stuart not to sign it when they were doing the remistress version of Cruelty.
Yeah.
Yeah, she talked about, she didn't go into a lot of detail. She simply said, who the hell would sign these contracts?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, so Scars and Guitars has done amazing work. They have interviews with every former member pretty much. So if you really want to put all the pieces together, you can pretty much find it while going through their stuff. I recommend listening to that whole thing. But another person's take on this situation I wanted to get to. And what's happening in the chat? What are we talking about? Do you think Danny is only mad that he is not tall enough to ride the Superman ride at Six Flags? That might be the problem. Always send out a decoy contract first. Right. Like I said before, that type of thing Danny claimed is a true thing that businesses and companies do. But it's like if you're trying to negotiate with a bad competitor. Like, that's not getting political, but that is basically the strategy that Trump uses when he tries to negotiate whatever with other world leaders, is he'll make a ridiculous offer and they'll be like, what? Fucking no. So that when they feel like, when the opposition feels like they've negotiated to something acceptable, that was kind of what the other party wanted in the first place. So they did that. So if you're negotiating with like an enemy world leader, you would do sort of like a decoy contract thing, like you said, where the point of it would be to negotiate it down. You don't do that with band members you're hiring, especially ones that are supposed to just show up and play the fucking music. You wouldn't do that with a company where, like, you're just hiring your new staff. I don't think you'd really do that. It's like in The Simpsons. By reading this, you agree with every clause in perpetuity of the universe. Correct. What kind of an argument is we didn't expect you to sign it? That was a version. Like, what the fuck? Didn't legal have a say on what version they sent? Yeah, exactly. I think Ashok said in his statement too, like, no one has a shitty contract they just have laying around, and then they send out with neither the boss, neither the manager, neither the attorney reading them. It's ridiculous. And the same post where he claims that any claims of bullshit against management are false, were very professional, he admits that none of them read the contract before sending it out. But I wanted to get to Bradley Hall also uploaded a video on this whole situation. This is, everybody get on board the Cradle of Grift. If you have not jumped on, it is the current grifted metal. It will get you views. It was Ozzy, and now it's Cradle. It'll be something else later. The first 18 minutes of this is basically him reading all of the posts that people made, so I'm not going to play that whole thing now, but I'm going to play where Bradley talks about his opinion on the whole situation. If you guys don't know, Bradley is awesome fellow YouTuber, makes hilarious guitar content, and is in the band Twilight Force.
Seems to be at like a weird threshold where they don't, well, I would imagine they don't earn enough money to be able to sustain the whole band on like a completely like annual full-time wage. But in terms of sort of like part-time touring, which is kind of what this gig seems like, 40% of the year on the road, that is essentially a part-time job, right? Yeah, I suppose it's maybe sort of like on the lower side, but it's not terrible, considering the other stuff they seem to get. So it's like, as long as they have the opportunity to be able to compensate the remainder of their income in other ways, then, I guess it's fine. Like, what you're saying.
I think that's the problem, though, is that what they were saying, they weren't allowed to work with other bands. And then Danny was saying, no, we don't have that clause with anyone. But then in an interview with Richard Shaw, who used to be in Cradle, he was saying that Cradle would just hit him up and be like, hey, you're on tour at these points. Deal with it. So he wasn't really able to like actually schedule doing other things because it was kind of a call up whenever type of situation. That's what Richard Shaw said.
Signing up for, right? I can also understand maybe how the issue of money might antagonize the band members a little bit, because I follow Danny on Instagram and he's always posting photos of him on his exotic holidays with his fiance. And it's a little bit like,
never trust the black metal musician who has an Instagram full of beach pictures.
Distasteful, I suppose. And the rest of the statement, I'm not going to read because it gets a little bit too personal after that point. And it's definitely at this point in the discourse that I don't know who to believe anymore. I think it seems like objectively true that there's some aspects of the band's working conditions that seem like less than favorable, and how the management just
it's a bit worse than that.
Seems to be like a little bit too like in bed with the band and the members. It's a little bit like too cozy and too weird, in my opinion. The way the manager Des seems to conduct himself in online and in messages is just like very odd. And I can definitely understand how the way he writes would perhaps like rub people up the wrong way.
Yeah, Des types like a fucking retard. He types like a drunk 19-year-old. I would not join a band strictly based on someone texting me the way Des does, like such an idiot.
Yeah. And also at this point, it's just getting like really petty. Like the band and the ex-members, they're both just like sharing screenshots and like stories and posts of like various scathing things that each of them have said, probably very much taken out of context on both sides. It's whatever. This is like,
I agree that there's definitely obviously been pettiness involved, and I would argue both sides a little bit here and there have maybe said more than they needed to in terms of like personal attacks, largely on Danny's part. But I don't think the overall conversation is just petty gossip, like we said. You got to cut out the fat of the personal gossip and get into the problem of metal industry.
Completely unnecessary at this point. Interestingly, though, another ex-member, Lindsay Schoolcraft, who I think was the previous keyboardist and backing vocalist before Zoe, also came out with a statement about how, essentially how the band, I assume, like sort of ruined her mental health and like why it's the reason she had to leave. She's saying, I've been asked a lot this week as to why I haven't come out with my full story of what happened to me in my old band, Cradle, and the details around why I truly left versus the Band-Aid statement of mental health. The reason I haven't spoken out yet is that when I do come forward, I will need legal representation and counseling. And in Canada, that can cost me upwards of tens of thousands of dollars based on my case. I will
Black metal.
Also say that this is a little bit more my personal opinion now, rather than being too like objective about stuff, is that I've had a theory for a while that the band sort of seemed to, I don't want to say prey, but kinda on sort of like aspiring, hungry, up-and-coming musicians. This did actually happen to a good friend of mine. So when the previous guitarist left before, like a few years ago, my friend was contacted personally by Des, their manager, who we've been talking about, with an offer just out of the blue, out of nowhere, to audition for the band. My mate is a fucking phenomenal guitarist, so I mean, it's totally understandable why they would want him. But I did think it was a bit odd because, like, my friend is like, not like gothic or whatever, like in any way, and like sort of shows no sign of that on his profile. So sort of what my theory is that they just sort of like maybe just cold message a bunch of like very capable, aspiring, up and coming musicians, and then sort of try and lure them into this established band, with promises of like touring and fame and endorsements and stuff, and then lock them into potentially dubious contracts like we've seen.
And then they'll threaten you, saying that you'll never work again. Think of your family. That's what Richard Shaw said that Dez told him when he was quitting Cradle of Filth. So yeah, they'll find like some young, talented fan and say like, you get to join this band, you get to tour the world, it's going to be amazing, you'll be a rock star. And then you're signed into a shit contract and then threatened when you try to leave.
Definitely my biggest concern out of everything that I've learned about this. And unfortunately, this sort of practice is probably not all that uncommon, in the rock and metal world, because
it's not, but there are some good ones. Like Alice Cooper has had, you could sort of consider it a revolving door, but he's had a lot of comings and goings of musicians throughout the years. And his camp has always treated it more as kind of like a school where like aspiring musicians get to join, work on their skill and become members of the band, and they're treated well. But then he does encourage them to go off and do other things at the same time. So it's not like if you're a session musician, you're going to be treated like shit. You just have these vultures preying on a bunch of them.
Just the sheer amount of like, aspiring, hungry musicians online who are like desperate to make it. And unfortunately, this is a kind of environment where these sort of people get taken advantage of, which is a real shame. It's impossible to know what exactly is 100% true and what isn't true here. And while I do think that Zoe and Ashok's intentions were true and good to try and expose these issues and bring it to a wider audience, so that general music fans could be aware of like musicians' rights and working conditions, especially
of the industry
for like hired guns and session musicians who aren't sort of like properly part of bands, because it's very, very easy for these people to be taken advantage of in this industry, and unfortunately, it does happen over and over again. So yeah, while their intentions were definitely true and good, I think the way they handled themselves online is just like very, very unprofessional, kind of petty, and a bit sort of like it just like the whole thing just like reeks of high school drama. And I
mostly disagree. I can agree that I think every side did take some shots here and there that could have been left out. I do think that Danny way more was acting unprofessional. You could argue it's unprofessional to post the contract, but this wouldn't have been as big of a deal if that hadn't happened. There needed to be some type of solid evidence. But I do agree, like I thought Zoe's post with the Instagram story saying this whole like religious thing for Danny that I thought she was trying to make humorous, that could have been left out. Most of Danny's points could be left out.
Do also have a little bit of like intel from mutual friends that she has a little bit of a history of kind of disruptive behavior. So I do.
That's what I was saying before about she has, would say strong attitude, strong like persona, but that goes in with herself, her sense of like right and wrong. So where I was saying, where if she's correct and she's been treating badly, it can be a powerful thing. But she is admittedly the type of person who will block someone who voted for Trump, or someone makes a joke about women in metal that might be considered tasteless. She might block them or get mad or say something. So I'm not denying that, basically, but that doesn't change the fact that given all of the evidence I've seen in public about the situation, I already largely put me on Zoe's side of this whole situation, lining up with past statements from other members. And like I said, things I've heard behind the scenes, I know a lot more than I feel comfortable saying at the moment.
Kind of suspect that some things that she's been talking about has perhaps been blown out proportion, exaggerated a little bit.
I can see both sides doing that. I think one criticism I think is true, or seems to be true, was one of the issues she took was she said that Dez called her a dead horse, and she got really offended by that. But I don't think Des was calling her a dead horse. I think he was saying that she's beating on a dead horse, constantly bringing up this issue of royalties or proper pay. I think that's what that was. Obviously, I didn't read the whole conversations, but in that case, I would agree that she took that the wrong way. It was still sort of an insult, but not the insult that she took it as, you know? Wait until Danny's mom hears about this. Yeah, we're going to accuse Zoe of being petty and going for personal drama when Danny out of nowhere is like, by the way, my mom has cancer. After I just fucking said that I wasn't going to bring personal stuff into this, when no one had mentioned Danny's mom in any way. If she had been getting like bombarded with messages from people saying her son is a cunt, then I would have got that. But he literally pulled her in out of nowhere, just as a fucking... If you see what he was doing, he's painting her to be a deranged, crazy alcoholic that's untrustworthy. And then, oh, I'm the poor victim because of my mom, so please don't be mean to me right now. And it's been working. You see the comments on his post and all the cradle cucks are like, oh my God, baby, I'm so sorry. Like, cradle of shit, basically. Was there more of this? Or?
But, you know, that probably goes for both sides too. So I wouldn't really take anything that anyone says in this situation like as complete gospel, right? But what I will say is that I hope that this whole experience has been, you know, enlightening for you guys.
There's the fucking beans. But yeah, check out Bradley's video. I recommend it, and also like it and subscribe to the channel. Another take I wanted to go over briefly was from Heavy Metal Philosophy, who just uploaded a video on this situation, and he gives some good insights into the payment as well. If you have not, check out Heavy Metal Philosophy. Awesome channel. Does good conversations and recommends a lot of really good bands. But I wanted to hear what he had to say a bit.
Now, we'll skip ahead to the section about her wages, but some of the previous provisions about owning exclusive rights to her name and likeness, yikes.
That's what immediately made me go, what the fuck, when I read the contract, was the likeness.
Anyway, skipping ahead to the wages portion, here's the contract she posted, quote, in consideration of the provision of your services, we agree to pay you as follows. A, the sum of £200 per day for all days upon which you are required to perform, record, rehearse, or attend other activities with or on behalf of the artist.
Do you guys know how you get the money from Danny Filth? You have to bonk him on the head like a Mario character and like, boing, and a coin will come out.
B, the sum of £150 per days spent traveling. C, a per diem of £25 per day for each day upon which your services are required by the artist. D, an annual payment of £1,000 for the use of your image and or performance in videos, merchandising, photographs, or other such promotional materials.
That one's horse shit.
Now here it's important to note that this is a contract that Zoe was sent after she asked for a raise, and according to the statements from Danny Filth himself, he agreed to a raise of 25%, which means she was making £160 per gig prior to this contract. And for my American...
Yeah, the contract she posted was including a raise. That's not what they were making. Friends,
at the time of this recording, £160 is about $216.67. And £200, the 25% raise, is about $270.84, because at the time of this recording, a pound is worth about $1.35. Y'all, that 160 pounds a gig, that's about the same amount of money that I was making at a dive bar gig in a cover band 15 years ago. And
I was making more than that as an extra on film sets where I sat around and literally did nothing.
the 200 pounds per gig rate, I've made that a couple of times too on some of those really good nights when the bar is standing room only and all the drunks are ready to spend all their money. And keep in mind, I want to reiterate, I'm talking about low-level musicians playing dive bars, a local cover band. And to be fair, in those local cover bands, I've also made way less money than this. But it should also be said that if I was in a country band, I would have made more money than this. And if I was in a band that played corporate events and or weddings, I would have made multiple times more money than this. And
If you were on OnlyFans, you would have made billions more than that.
And to be fair, it's important to point out that I've never been paid to rehearse. And anytime that I was in an original band, I've only ever lost money. In those original bands, even the good paying gigs, they never paid enough to cover all the money that we invested into those original projects. So while this amount that she was getting paid is kind of surprising, it's not really all that surprising. I've said it on this show a bunch of times. Y'all would be shocked how little money even the really big metal bands make. You pretty much have to be at minimum Cradle of Filth's level to not have a day job, or
clearly not even.
You have to play in multiple professional bands at the same time. Almost all of these guys play in other bands and or take gigs as drum and guitar techs on other tours and or teach guitar lessons at the same time. Bill Kelleher from Mastodon still teaches guitar lessons on the side, and as recently
Metal Keanu is a pretty great nickname, I'm not gonna lie.
As 2021, Chevelle said that they didn't make any money over their career because of how bad their record contract was. So if bands as big as Mastodon and Chevelle aren't making any money, then extrapolate that down to your favorite death and black metal bands.
Yeah. For any aspiring musicians out there, being a professional metal musician, or what you would consider a rock star these days, is a hobby. It will pretty much never be your main source of income unless you happen to get a good band hiring session members.
So getting back to
or you do OnlyFans.
Zoe's contract, it offers 150 pounds per day spent traveling but not playing a gig, plus 25 pounds per day per diem.
That is horse shit. Per diem is money for food, basically. $25 per day. That is barely a meal and a half, at least here in LA. It depends where else you are playing in the world, but that's for 3 meals. That is not shit.
That's roughly $237 for my Americans out there. Now, it's really common for a band of this size to play, let's say, Atlanta one night and then travel all the way to Orlando or New Orleans the very next day. And that drive is about 6.5 hours if they do not stop at all. So we'll just call it 8 hours. So to make it make sense to us blue collar folks, that's about $29 an hour on travel days, or roughly 22 pounds an hour. That's honestly not that bad of a wage for travel days, though I would like to see the per diem be higher. There's no way to eat healthy 3 meals a day for 25 pounds a day, or roughly 33 American dollars.
Yeah, no, that's like 1 meal at most places.
For reference, I get $50 a day per diem when I travel for my day job, which is about 37 pounds. And also keep in mind, I'm talking about an enormous legacy band. Also, the contract offers 1,000 pounds per year, or roughly $1,355 for the use of their likeness rights in videos and promotional materials. That's a ludicrously low number.
See? And Boris did not mention that at all. Boris is a good dude. I like his channel, but he completely missed that. I would spit on that contract.
To get exclusive rights to my name and likeness, you're going to have to give me some money that's going to have an effect on my life.
I would minimum for exclusive likeness for a band the size of Cradle of Filth. Fuck. I want to say like $5,000 a year, and that's probably still too low. Maybe.
And of course, to be fair to Cradle of Filth, in Danny's statement, he said that they are also owed publishing money from the royalties for the songs that they wrote while they were in the band. So this contract is only for tours. It's not their total compensation. So they do make more money than they put on. But to me, if they're writing the songs, they're not just hired guns. They're writing the songs. And in Ashok's case, he's been in the band for more than a decade. I feel like you should probably treat them better than hired guns.
Not only that, but someone else said in an interview, I can't remember which one it was, that if you're a hired gun, if you're a session musician, 99% of the time, that means you're told what to play, you learn it, you show up and play it. It does not mean you're composing the music, you're creating it, and then you're signing away your likeness and rights to the music that you composed that you're being paid less than a McDonald's wage for.
I've also taken gigs as a hired gun, and this amount of money in this contract is roughly about what I made to help those bands out on tour. But I'm not nearly as established a musician as Zoe and Ashok are. And I didn't have to give my likeness rights away, nor was I expected to be at photo shoots and meet and greets. This contract was bad. And even Danny admits in his statement that it was a, quote, contract. And in that statement, he also says, quote, this is not a contract that was ever expected to be signed as is.
We just sent it to the entire band with a statement saying, please sign as soon as possible.
But was the initial framework to build from. I will expand on this further, but I do see that one of the main reasons we are having this situation is because of miscommunication regarding the nature of the contract and what was expected of the parties receiving it. In other words, it was expected that after they made this initial offer, that Zoe would counter offer and then negotiations would take place. And while this is, yes, standard practice,
no, it's not.
I have to ask the question, what would have happened if she would have said yes? I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have said, oh, wait, you weren't supposed to accept that one. We were ready to offer you more. Okay, now that we've got that situation explained, let's compare that to how much Tank the Tech.
No, so if you want to watch the rest of the video, recommend it. He compares what the contract was to what Tank the Tech revealed he makes on YouTube, and then he compares it to his own earnings. Pretty dog shit, gotta say. I'll tell you right now, I made more than that contract on YouTube last month. But so, exploiting the weak, that's what it is. Which is, it's an easy thing. I mean, think about it. You're young, early 20s musician, and you get hit up by a band you grew up with to join. Like, oh my God, I get to play with Danny Filth and tour the world and play these songs. It's amazing. And you're not the most legally intelligent person, so maybe don't read the full contract and then realize how much you're exploited. You know? Danny takes advantage of those who love him, seemingly including his fucking mom. That was absurd. I feel way less bad about bootlegging Cradle of Filth now. I mean, no, I would never do that. I would never do that. I feel that I reinstate all of the jokes I made against Cradle of Filth when I was in high school. Yeah, so that's the whole situation there. Many YouTubers have talked about it. I recommend going over many different opinions and background information to find out what you can if you're interested. I personally think it is a big deal that I will keep my eyes on. Let me do a check if anything else has happened in the time we've been doing this show. Probably not. I will update you all right now and let you know that the next time you see me... Hey, wait a minute. Danny's Worst Crime was Nephamphetamine. I liked that album. Mostly. Most of the songs on that album I like. But it's been a while since they've had any real bangers. Yeah, but the next time you see me on this podcast, or maybe not my next video, but after that, next time you see me live, I will definitely have shorter hair. Oh my God, I can't fucking stand it anymore. I was talking about maybe doing some type of like chat super donation thing on here, but no one really seemed that into it, and I'm getting fucking irritated already, so I'd rather just be like, if I had a razor right now, I would just trim it off. But I'm not going to do bald because fuck that shit, but I'm going to do really short. It's at the point where I'm like, God, it feels good to headbang and do metal things, but besides that, I cannot fucking stand it. It feels like a wet mop on my head all the time. Now, unfortunately, great tragedy in the metal world, the savior of metal will be trimming his hair, but you'll still get all of my shit talking and jokes. I'm checking metal websites if there's any breaking news, any more things we should cover, any more final statements from Cradle of Filth members. One cool thing happened during this live stream was that I just got full-time position at the hospital I work for. Hey, congrats to Night Fox. That's cool. Congratulations. Go skinhead. I've never done that before. I've never gone full bald. I've gone really short, which I'm going to do again. More like kind of a World War II style undercut, I guess you could say. But I've never done the full bald thing. I was debating it just because I hear it feels fucking amazing. But I think I would look awful with it. I would definitely be rocking a hat if I did that. Thanks for calling out his clear manipulation in his last post, Mr. I'm no longer gonna put out personal matters. By the way, my mom has cancer. Get real. Yeah, it was the next paragraph. It's like I shouldn't have brought in personal stuff. By the way, my mom has cancer. Don't be mean to me. I'm like, what does that have to do with you ripping people off and not paying them and being a dick? You are awesome, Wyatt. Thank you, Mr. Darkmare. I appreciate that. You would look like a little Gigi Allen. Less heroin for sure. Buy a Halloween bald cap to test it first. For Halloween, I should just do the Dr. Phil hairstyle. Not the full costume, just the hair. And don't mention it at all. Just be like, what are you guys talking about? I was checking here. Is there more stuff? I don't think so. Look forward to my band dropping a hot new single coming soon. We're recording at the end of the month. I don't think anything has really happened since then. Checking updates. Jack Osborne just uploaded some video about his dad. Jack Osborne, a personal note before moving forward on the loss of my father. Oh, shit. Should we watch that? Or is that... Do we want to be sad at the moment? I mean, maybe. I want to watch it, but I don't want to cry at the moment. Get Phil Anselmo's hair from 1986. Some of my friends used to do that. I've done undercut type of stuff before, but... Band name. My band name is Dark Insanity. We are on all of the streaming platforms. Our debut EP, Rabid Psychosis, is on everything. Wyatt, do you like metalcore? If so, what's your favorite metalcore band? No, I do not. So that answers your question. I really don't, honestly. No, dude, Phil had a giant perm in 1986. I'd consider a perm. I'll do a Cat Williams perm. That would be rad. I don't think there's anything exciting. The House just voted to release the Epstein files. That will be probably something that won't really happen. Not metal, but something I will talk about whenever I can. Oh, I didn't read off the list of what my 20 bands for my next video will be. Dark Insanity, Dark Insanity, Dark Insanity, Dark Insanity, Dark Insanity. Do you know about the Black Flag thing? Oh yeah, I made the short on that. That all of the new band members got really mad at. Yeah, Black Flag is the same thing as Cradle of Filth. They hired new or unsuspecting musicians. Fucking yeah, so I made a short calling out the Black Flag thing, how he hired just a bunch of kids. And some of those musicians commented on the video saying, like, you got all of this wrong. Of course I would join Black Flag. It's an amazing opportunity. I just wanted to be like, comment back here in 5 years and let me know how it went for you. I'm not trying to shit on those musicians. I'm letting them know what will probably happen. There you go. How do you balance egos in a band? A lot of weed. That's how my band seems to handle it. We don't have that issue, really. All-time favorite band is Motorhead. By far. Greatest band of all time. Hell yeah. Should I leak it here? Oh, I just... Actually, fuck. I deleted some of the list because I already recorded part of it. Fuck it. You guys have to wait until the video to find out what the list of top bands will be. But with that said, I think that was everything I wanted to cover on this episode. There's no breaking news. Is it bad that I listen to Cradle of Filth still? I still love the music, but don't like what Danny did to the ex-band members. No, I don't think so. I mean, even Zoe was saying that I don't want to convince anyone to not listen to the band, but just, I don't know, be aware that it wasn't Danny that came up with those riffs and everything that you like, you know? Anyway, yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything for this episode. I will be doing my 20 best current metal bands, be coming up in the next couple days. Check out my other videos. Go commit crimes, earn felonies, harass people, all those things, and be a beneficial member of society. Dark Insanity smokes too much weed and becomes a doom band. We smoke as much as doom bands, but then keep playing brutal shit. But anyway, no, that's not true. Don't do drugs, kids. Anyway, everyone go be metal, be productive, don't engage in bullshit online. Enjoy this after movie. Come see Dark Insanity September 20th and October 16th. Rock and
I need to hit a ball.
air.